There are days when your mind feels like a storm you can't step out of, not because the world is collapsing outside, but because something inside won't stop spinning. Thoughts rise without asking permission. Old fears appear at the worst moments. Memories replay like echoes trapped in a small room. And you try to fix it. You try to breathe deeper, think differently, be stronger, stay positive. But the more you try to control the mind, the more unruly it becomes. It's like holding sand in your hands. You tighten your grip, and it slips through even faster. You wonder quietly, sometimes in the middle of the night, when does this finally get easier? What else do I have to do? And there's a fatigue that doesn't come from the body. It comes from a life spent wrestling with your own thoughts. You've been taught to believe that peace will happen once you master your mind, once you discipline it, once you keep it quiet, once you finally win this invisible battle. But what if the battle isn't real? What if trying to control the mind is the very thing that keeps you trapped? This is the quiet paradox of Robert Adams. He didn't speak loudly. He didn't push ideas. He simply said things that rearranged you from the inside out. You are not the body. You are not the mind. You are pure, eternal, unchanging consciousness. At first, these words confuse the mind, but then they start dissolving something. Robert Adams was a gentle American sage, a man who didn't preach, didn't argue, didn't try to convert. He spoke from an inner stillness that didn't depend on circumstances. People came to him with suffering, questions, storms, and he answered with the kind of silence that doesn't feel empty, but full. He lived a very simple truth. You are not what you're trying to control. The mind is not you. The body is not you. Thoughts are not you. You are the awareness behind all of it. The purpose of this video is to help that recognition emerge in you, not as a theory, but as a soft internal shift, a remembering. If something in these words feels true, stay until the end. Let it unfold naturally. Robert Adams liked to offer teachings that sounded almost shocking, but only because they were so simple. There is nothing to reach. There is no one to reach it. There is no path to walk. The mind immediately protests. It demands reasons, logic, structure. It says, what about all I've done? What about everything I've practiced? What about my search for peace? And Robert would smile, not dismissively, but with the tenderness of someone watching a child search for the glasses already resting on their face. You are already what you are looking for. The only thing in the way is the idea that something is in the way. He explained suffering with clarity, almost like poetry. You mistake yourself for what is constantly changing. The body, the thoughts, the emotions. When they struggle, you believe you are struggling. When they shake, you believe you are shaking. But something in you has never changed. Something has been quietly present through every age, every version of you, every joy, every heartbreak. That presence is your real nature, and it does not need control. It does not need to win over thoughts. It does not need to fix anything. It only needs to be recognized. So how do you recognize it? Robert's method was simple, almost disarming in its simplicity. Step 1. Observe the mind instead of trying to manage it. Just watch, without judgment, without argument, without trying to rearrange anything. A thought of fear appears. A memory, a tension, a sentence saying, I can't do this anymore. Don't fight it. Don't replace it. Don't chase it away. Just watch it like you would watch a cloud moving across the sky. Robert said, observe your thoughts. Do not fight them. Just observe. And when you do that sincerely, something extraordinary happens. A small gap appears. You notice that if you can observe the thought, you cannot be the thought. That gap is freedom. Step 2. Ask softly, to whom does this thought come? Not to get an answer, not to solve anything, only to shift your attention from the content of the thought to the one who is aware of it. And step 3, for moments when the mind becomes too heavy, when it feels too much, he offered a practice both profound and delicate. Say inwardly, it's all right. Everything is unfolding as it should, not as a slogan, not as positive thinking, but as recognition. When you say, it's all right, you're not denying your experience. You are stepping out of the storm, even if the clouds are still there. Robert explained it beautifully. When you say, it's all right, you are saying nothing is wrong. Nothing has ever been wrong, and nothing will ever be wrong. The nervous system softens. The breath deepens. The body loosens its grip. You begin to see that the world isn't wrong. It's your interpretation that hurts. Another teaching he loved is the metaphor of the paper and the ink. You read the words printed on a newspaper, and you forget the paper underneath. But without the paper, nothing could appear. The world of thoughts, stories, and problems, that's the ink. But you are the paper, the silent background, the consciousness where everything appears. Robert would often say, everything is consciousness. There is nothing outside of it. When this becomes more than an idea, your entire perception shifts. You look at a tree and realize that before you label it tree, there is only perception, colors, shapes, presence. You look at your hand and realize that before the thought, my hand, appears, there is only sensation existing in awareness. You look at someone who hurt you and realize that before the story of they hurt me, there is just a field of experience moving the way experience moves. Consciousness is the common thread. Nothing is separate from it. Nothing stands outside of it. When this is seen clearly, fear softens, judgment loosens, urgency fades, not because the world becomes easier, but because you stop carrying it as if it were all on your shoulders. People often asked Robert, what do I do when I feel hopeless, depressed, overwhelmed? He would reply with compassion, tell yourself gently, everything is all right. Allow life to be what it is. Do not interfere. Do not react. You will be fine. Life stops being a battlefield. It becomes something you can breathe with again. This doesn't erase difficulty, but it dissolves the sense of personal burden. Pain may arise, but suffering loses its anchor, because suffering depends on identification. Once you're no longer the character in the story can continue without consuming you. Robert loved one simple question. Who am I? Not to be answered in words, but to interrupt the hypnosis of the mind. Every time you turn inward, every time you ask, who is the one experiencing this? A little illusion falls away. You start tasting a peace that doesn't come and go, a quiet joy that isn't caused by circumstances, a sense of being home without needing anything to change. Robert had a way of comforting people without making promises. He simply pointed them back to what never leaves. Peace is not something you earn, it's something you uncover. Before we end, I want to ask you, sincerely, what is the thought you most try to control? And what happens inside when you simply observe it instead? If you feel like sharing, I'll be reading the comments. As we close, Robert's words still echo. Be still and know that you are not a person, not a mind, not a story, just presence, just awareness, just the quiet being that has been here the entire time. For a moment, let everything be as it is. Let the mind do whatever it chooses. Let the body breathe naturally. Let life unfold without your interference. Stay as the one who watches. In this simple staying, everything shifts, not because you changed the mind, but because you finally stopped trying. If this journey touched something in you, and you'd like to keep walking together, you're welcome to stay close, to return for the next exploration, to continue unfolding this mystery step by step. Until then, a gentle silence, a silence that says, you are already home. You always were.